The next one is in the Daily Mail. My mood, first one of the week in the Daily Mail is... I'm not going to touch that.
Just so you know, I did look up you on YouTube. Your
It's frightening, isn't it?
Really good.
There is
really
somebody who compiles them all. A lot of time on your hands, but thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome, darling.
Oh, bless you. This is A&E staff to face 3 drunks every minute. How alcohol cases are swamping our hospitals. Okay. Despite the drive by successive governments to constantly say less drinking, binge drinking is
they've not
bad.
really made much of a drive, there's a lot of talk and very little action on
and of course, if there's good, and unfortunately, we're also living in a culture whereby people are cutting back, so they're buying cheap alcohol, they're drinking probably more because seemingly alcohol is, you can buy pallets of alcohol for less and less money in the supermarket, so you get tanked up before you go out now as well with your mates. I just think...
The Italians have it in a great way of it. They, you know, only drink with food and mostly drink with food, and children have little bits of alcohol with water.
Yes, we actually train in Italy our kids, and this is a serious thing, to drink alcohol for a very early stage. And the reason why we do
water
that...
And,
we dilute with 50-50 we do. And the reason why we do that, some people think, some country thinks that we are completely mad, which they're probably right. But if you think about it, if you train your kids to drink a little bit of alcohol, but doing in stage as you eating, and make sure that they are aware from a very early stage, you won't have the problem. I guarantee you, you will not have the problem.
I believe the World Health Authority would dispute that, and that Italy has one of the great unspoken alcohol problems in Europe.
No, I mean, you know, we have alcohol and food together.
We drink alcohol with food. We just have a kebab at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, it's difficult for me to talk because at the moment I'm also promoting, you know, wine relief, for comic relief, which is one of the things that I'm working at the moment. And what we're doing is there are some retails that they sell in wine, which I'm promoting. And 10% go to disadvantaged children in the UK and in Africa.
The victims of alcohol
abuse.
They're
not building enough license in African villages. It's not.
No, but it's important to understand that, you know, I think if you train them from an early stage...
There's something to be said.
They're getting better.
We have to go to a break, unfortunately, to wet our own whistles.
And the last story is Coca-Cola's secret recipe. For years, this was shrouded in mystery. No one could ever know basically, they used to say that the secret ingredients were natural flavourings, including caffeine. And now we know what's in it. Well, orange oil, lemon oil, nutmeg oil, coriander, neroli, I don't know what neroli is, and cinnamon.
Tastes like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just interesting that these appeared years ago, but no one really gave a
cocaine mentioned there?
Sorry, is
cocaine?
Not anymore, bizarrely.
Not anymore, but it was, wasn't it?
It was in the 20s, yeah, absolutely. So those are the stories.
OK, and finally, Liz, what have we got now? Nick Wilson, he wants to know what happened to Mood of the Day.
Oh, Mood of the Daily Mail. He's taken me hat, he's taken my coat, and he's taken my teeth!
Now, before we take your call...
the next story is in the Daily Mail. My mood of the Daily Mail today is... He comes in here, I find him in the bath touching my wife! But sadly, the story's a little bit... It's picking up on a big story from yesterday. It is this awful... case of the woman who's going to be apparently sterilised.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it yesterday, but
we now know the details. We now know the details.
So what do we know?
Unfortunately, this is a 21-year-old woman who is giving birth to her second daughter. She has severe learning disabilities. Her mother is already looking after her first child. She has also said she will look after this child, but she says she cannot cope looking after any further children. Unfortunately, so her daughter is sexually active. They have tried to convince her to have an injection or to have forced contraception. Unfortunately, that has not worked. So this is obviously a last...
Is it not the case? Somebody told me that because the woman, the 21-year-old, had actually refused it. I'd heard that she actually refused the contraception.
Yes, he has said that she's refused it, but she doesn't understand. I mean, this is the thing.
But hang on, but if we're going to enforce something on her, and Mum wants sterilisation, why can't we enforce contraception on her first and see how that goes?
Yeah, if it's only done with it, and it's probably... it's an easier procedure than...
One would have thought so.
Yeah, anyway, so at least we do... I mean, again, it's a heartbreaking story.
And the case was going to be resolved today, but I believe it's now been postponed, adjourned to May.
Right, OK.
Wow.
So she'll have the baby first, and then they'll deal with what happens next.
First... the first story I have is in the Daily Mail. Today's mood of the Daily Mail is, I want you to come in, I want you to take my shirt off, I want you to shave my chest.
Oh, yes. I like it.
That's the mood of the Mail. And on page 2, the story is, well, what's one of the biggest things that the Lib Dems want? They want a reformation...
No, they changed their mind.
They want a reformation of the voting system to the alternative, the AV system.
If they don't get that...
Really, they have
absolutely
nothing. So they're going to have a referendum. Finally,
no thanks to Tory peers, though, because, of course, the House of Lords was doing its best to stop this happening.
And finally, yesterday, they relented and said, OK, we're going to have... And this should be said, this is going to cost about 80 million just to have a referendum.
Yeah, but it's about the way we're going to move forward with democracy in this country.
Yes, well, apparently, I know. I mean, on the plus side of that, if we do get AV, then it will reduce the amount of MPs from 650 to 600, so that will probably be a massive saving as well.
We'll see
you just want no MPs.
And we'll see members of the British National Party sitting in Westminster, which will be one of the side effects as well. That's almost certain. Well, yes, you will, because
of PR, in terms of
how it works. But that's no bad thing, you know. Let's bring people into the political process rather than shut them out. He says half-heartedly backing AV. But the way I'm going to do it for this show, leading up to May the 5th, is if Nick Clegg wants to come here and talk about AV, we'll talk about AV at length. And if he doesn't, we're just going to ignore it and you can make up your own minds using all the amazing information available in The Sun. Which is absolutely zilch.
I'm not on the whole... I know Nick Clegg's covered for a lot. I'm not on the whole thing, because when they went into government, and they always say that all he wanted was proportional representation, AV and all the rest of it. I don't think that was all that they wanted. I think actually what they wanted at that particular time, when they're in...
Some kind of power.
No, they wanted to stabilise the markets.
Been a major part, but
everybody's forgotten that at that time, the stock market was going down the drain, the economy was going down the drain, somebody needed to form a government.
No, they've been banging on about AV for years and decades.
And they're not going to get it. No. So, you know...
Well, they might. They might, you never know.
No, they won't. Well, you know they won't, really.
I mean,
I think people have got...
So few people vote as it is in this country that, you know, it would be a fair...
Listen, it benefits Nick Clegg, and unfortunately people feel very betrayed by Nick Clegg. So if it's based on that, then... Anyway, the next story is in The Guardian, page 4. This story's in the Daily Mail. The last mood of the Mail is... What do you want? Shoes? You want my shoe? You want my shoe? Take my shoe! It's good news. It's good news in one way. It's the number of marriages ending in divorce is at its lowest for 35 years. Now, the cynical amongst us, i.e. me, would say it's because it's a very expensive process to go through. So, of course, then there's pretty much what the article's saying. The other thing is that there were 230,000 couples married in 2008, according to the latest statistics, meaning that the proportion of adults choosing to marry is also at its lowest since rates were first calculated in 1862.
240,000 couples, you say?
Yeah, and that's
about 650,000 people born a year.
Mr. Maths. Look at Mr. Maths.
Right, hello.
Yeah. But that's interesting, and this also...
Still quite a lot of people getting married, that's what I'm saying. Because, you know, that's couples, so it's 500,000. So
well, but that links into the Daily Telegraph story, which is the last story, which is saying that... couples in their 20s are very likely to divorce, but what they're doing is they're calling them starter marriages, which you might be with someone for 5 years.
I like that.
And
nice.
But imagine being in a couple, you go, you know what, we're going to marry you, but you're only my starter marriage. I'll wait till I'm in my mid-30s before I have my proper marriage. Yeah, nice.
Well, that's how it worked for me. It was fantastic.
Yeah, but only in retrospect did you call it a starter marriage.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, you're not everybody goes in saying it's a starter marriage.
No, you can't start. Oh, this is my first wife. I'd like you to meet her.
You can hear the bells. Not till death do us part.
It's a great line, isn't it? This is my first wife. I love that. OK, after the break...